Hello, this is Lizzie, and today I'm going to show you the one-piece cushion cover or pillow cover with a little twist. So that's the detail that we're going to have a look at today. So what you need to do is start off with your piece of fabric. Now your piece of fabric will be quite wide this time, so it's 18.5 inches by 44. So this will take you, if you're using quilting cotton, it'll take you all the way from selvage to selvage. So if you just snip off a little bit of the selvage, the actual white piece, I'll show you in a sec what I mean by that, will be covered in the seams when we do the seams at the back and the side pieces. So I've put the centimetres in there as well, so it's easy for you to see if you're a centimetre gal. So the first thing you need to do is to fold your fabric piece in half. Okay, so that's folded in half. And you'll be able to see on mine that I've got a little bit of white selvage going along here, but that's fine because when we stitch the edges over, you won't see this. Now this fabric, in case you're curious, is called Diaphanous by Jason Yenter for In the Beginning Fabrics. And if I bring that around, you can just about see that on the selvage, because I know a lot of people ask about that. So from the fold line, which is here, says double layer fabrics here, from the fold line here, you need to measure in 10 inches. So let me just put that there so you can see. So when you folded it in half, you mark 10 inches or 25 centimetres from your fold line. And if you want to, like I've done, you can make a little nick in the fabric. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Or you can just use your marker pen and just mark that line there. And then give it a little press. So I've just got my iron and just given this a gentle press across there. So each end, top and bottom, has that little nick cut out, a little triangle shape cut out. Okay, so then what I've done, let's just bring these in. Then what I've done is, let's get it this way around. I've measured from that little nick, from that crease line that I've made, I have marked in 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches and 7 inches. So if we look at my fabric and just hold it up, those are the little nick lines, and hopefully you'll be able to see that. There's 4, 5, 6 and 7, and you use those to concertina your fabric. So you pinch it at the first little nick and fold it over. So if I show you, that's how it works. And you can pin these in place if you want to now, or just leave them, and we'll do that in a little bit later. So you're just pinching over those little V's and bringing it over and folding it. Let's do it this way. You're folding it over and you're folding it over again. So you're making 2 pleats using the V's as your guide all the way along. And you can iron those now, and then it saves you that little job later. So the first thing we're going to do now is to actually neaten off our short ends. So the ends where the selvages were, we're going to neaten those off. So 1/4 inch turn, 1/4 inch again, and just top stitch all the way down. And you'll find that your little white edge just disappears. So just fold those and top stitch. Now I've got my stitch on a long length just so it's quick, but you might want to keep yours at 2.5. And you can glue this down if you want, you don't have to stitch. Now if you're new to me and you haven't discovered me before, and this is the first video you've seen, I have done a previous video on a one-piece cushion cover, pillow cover, that you might want to watch first, because that is the most simplest one to make if you're a new stitcher. If you're a more advanced stitcher, then this is perhaps just for you. And again, just folding over 1/4 inch, then 1/4 inch again. And this can all be pressed with your iron when you've done it. And again. No need to backstitch because all these seams will be caught into your fabric. So we've done our 2 side seams now. So one end done, and the other end done, and obviously snip your ends off. So the next thing to do is actually stitch our pleats. So if you remember before, we did a little pinch across and we made those pleats, and I ironed them so you can see quite clearly how they go. But we need to actually stitch those down. So I'm going to stitch a 1/2 inch along these fold lines. So really you're going from notch to notch. So again, I'll just top stitch those, and it's 1/2 inch. And I'll show you when I've done. And it's easier to do this if you have pressed them, because you've got a lovely straight line to follow. And if it doesn't quite match up to what you did, I wouldn't worry. As long as you've got the effect. Little back stitch, no need really. So that's the first one. So again, we just pinch that little curve there, that little pleat, and again, just do a top stitch. All the way along. So there's our pleats stitched down. Let's open this up so you can see. So you can see them just about standing proud there. So the next thing you need to do is to measure 6 1/4 inches from each end. So if I get my heat erasable pen in and a tape measure, and you're going to do 6 1/4 inches. So that's here. Just make a little mark. You could use a pin. If you don't want to use a heat erasable pen or air erasable, whatever means, or pop a pin in, and again make a little mark. And we're going to stitch across these pleats. So if we see that in better detail, if I bring it round here, that's where my mark is. So these pleats are going to go that way, and I'm going to make sure that I stitch those flat. These pleats up here that I've marked are actually going to go the other way, like that. So that's how you get your twist. As you can see how that fabric is twisted. At the ends here, these ones are going to go out that way, and these ones are going to go this way. So that's how you get your twist. And you can top stitch those, stay stitch those to keep them in place, but we'll just use pins. So the first thing we're going to do is top stitch across here. So I'll just bring my machine in again. And you want to be careful with your back stitch here, because we do a little back stitch, but only 1 or 2 stitches. You don't want to look clumsy. So across, all the way across, and then another little back stitch. Just 2 stitches is enough. Then I'm going to whiz this over, and on this side I'm just going to turn those the other way. So you can see how you've got that twist going on just here. And again, just make sure we've got that all lined up. 2 stitches, 2 stitches back, and then across, and again, just 2 stitches. And like I say, you can top stitch these ones down so they stay, but we won't worry about that. We'll pin those. So that's that part done. So I'll just take my threads away, because obviously because we hopped across, that will sort of tighten the tension up on the back of the stitching. So we'll take those away. That's it. Lovely. And again, each stage, give it a good press. So we've done our excuse me, we've done our twist to our fabric. Here we go. So the next thing we need to do is to actually bring our sides in so we can make our envelope back. So where you just lightly ironed before, then that's where you need to place your fabric. Just use your ironing lines as a guide. There we go. We'll pin those pleats in just a second. Bring the other one across. Again, use your ironing crease as a guide, and you can see how they automatically fold over each other beautifully, and that gives you your envelope back. So what I'll do is I'll put a couple of pins in here just to hold those pieces, and it's always useful to do a nice back stitch as you go over each one of these, not the pins, the seams, and that holds them in place and it gives it strength. So again, we just pin and just pin. So now we need to get our creases, our pleats in the right place. So I'll just get those threads out of the way. So where they're going one way, we need to put them the other way, the opposite side. I'm just going to hold those down so you can see how useful it would be if I top stitched. So perhaps that's what you should do. But I'm okay at just eyeballing that. And again, on the other side, if we lift that up, we can see that the pleats are all lying flat this way, but actually we want them to go the other way. So there and there. So just hold them down and pin. You're kind of telling them who's boss. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down this side and then this side. So don't forget to do your back stitch when you're going over those double seams. So, and of course you can zigzag the edges of this, you can strengthen it with, if you've got an overlock or a serger, the ideal time to get that out, because you want these seams to be lovely and strong. But don't machine over your pins either. You could break your needle. So we're just coming up to that first seam. So I've just put my needle in to hold, and then little back stitch for strength, straight over again. This, I mean, I'm doing quite a generous 1/4 inch here, but this will fit an 18-inch square cushion pad. And again, little back stitch, turn it round, come down the other side. Just coming up to that first seam now. So this time, back stitch for strength, because that's where you're going to open up the back to put the cushion in, so we want it to be nice and strong. Just coming up to the pleats. I've just caught my thread there in my foot, so I'll just snip those away. So we've got them pinned down, but you know we don't stitch over pins. And again, just hold them in place, they don't twist. They'll want to go back. There we are. Now, in the first video we did like a faux seam at the sides. This time just for speed. So look back at that one. But this one time for speed, I'll just turn this through. I've got a cushion pad down here so we can see what it looks like. So make sure your corners are lovely and pushed out. Use a knitting needle or something blunt. These are quite sort of big scissors, so I know I'm safe to do that. You don't want to rip your fabric. So just push those out. So if you want to do that faux seam, now is the time to do it. So if you look at the other video that I did a couple of weeks or so ago now, so look at the dates. Okay, so what I did was I top stitched where the folds are, so across the folds, and that gives it a look of being a seam. So there is our cushion cover or our pillow cover done. Just got another thread, of course. So that's what it looks like. Hasn't been pressed. Shall we see what it looks like with the cushion in? Got a really big fat cushion here. See if we can get it in. So this is why you need to strengthen those seams, because you're pushing in, and this is feather, so you're pushing in this cushion pad into your cushion cover, so you need those seams to be nice and strong. Maybe I got too big a cushion pad. It will go in. It will go in. Just get the corners of the cushion right in there. And the great thing about feathers is that you give it a good thump and all the feathers fit in. It needs a little bit of a wriggle. Anyway, there we are. So that's the cushion done. So that is the one piece cushion cover with a twist. Thank you for watching.